There we go. Hey guys, and we are live. What's up? Hope you're having a good evening.
Hello, Adam Freeman here, writer, director, and actor.
So why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, Adam, while I get all these links up everywhere?
Okay, so I got into acting back when about 5, 6 years ago. And it was a really fun process. It was kind of a unique way of getting into it. I don't know if anyone has ever seen like TNT's Claws, the TV show, or like Sordid Lives, but there was an actress by the name of Dell Dickey who had come into my coffee shop, and I had to talk to her about acting because I knew exactly who she was whenever she came in, and she kind of like gave me like a few pointers and told me what I needed to do, and I I took those pointers and took them to heart, and I learned my craft. I got trained by a Hollywood acting coach, and I got my first role that I landed. It did not happen. That film got canceled, so the second role that I got was a lead role, and then from there, I kind of learned the ropes of like line producing, and so I became like a line producer. Started doing like a lot of like backhand stuff on set, and then I became a writer and started doing screenplays, and then it just kept going on until I became a director. And I directed my first film, Deadly Dealings, and that one we shot. I want to say that project was in the work for about like 2 years, and it's finally out now. And now we are going into Screen Dream. It's a remake of a 1989 shot on video cult classic. And the original was directed by Donald Farmer. And I've loved that movie since I was a kid. So I had to get the rights. And I'm now directing that film as well.
Nice. Hey Sky. Hey Gabe. What's up? So it sounds like you got your hands full.
Yeah, I stay pretty busy. I like to tell people that, you know, when I like find friends throughout like, my normal day here in Tennessee, I'm always begging them to like, let's do something, let's have fun or something, because at this point, being in the game for about 5 to 6 years, I've done solid work. So I don't go out with friends. I haven't seen any of my friends in like 5 to 6 years. I just constantly work every day. So
Well, it sounds like you're definitely committed.
very much so. And I mean, it's fun and it's a passion, but sometimes, people kind of get a little lost in their passion. So, um, I have fun doing this, but I also like to stay busy by like working other jobs. Like right now, I'm working for a company, and I love it. So I love to stay busy, love to stay working, and try to kill myself is what most people say. Yeah, I work way too much. So.
Let me just make sure that they can hear you talking. They should be able to, but I always like to double check. You never check with these. You can never tell with these things. So basically, you watched Cindy's stream. They're going to be over here fishing while we sit here and talk in game.
Okay.
So, what would you say is the hardest thing about being an independent filmmaker?
Ooh, well, I want to say budget, and locations. I say locations because there is a way that like some people like do film. Like, um, you have to get like permission to like film at certain locations, and sometimes people don't get permission and like they just wing it. And there's been several instances where you just kind of are doing like the guerrilla style filmmaking of trying to just like rent out a place and just um filming there. And
Yeah.
uh usually like every time like if that happens, I'm just like everybody change the sets, make it look like it's not, you know. But that's just if you don't get permission. But it's just really hard to find that because like certain states require certain um like they have like certain like things that you have to abide by. Like you have to have a license to like film outside, or you have to have a license to make a movie,
Yeah.
which is honestly just, let's be real, it's stupid. But I mean, like anybody can pick up their phone and go out and make a movie. So like you could, like, I know a lot of people who their whole life like they've been like making movies on their phone and things like that. And with obviously I don't do that, but it's I kind of disagree with some of the rules on it, but um it always is nice to get permission somewhere, so it's easier, people know what you're doing.
Yeah.
And so it's like right now, on my film Scream Dream, um we found a location that has two beautiful Victorian style homes in front of each other, and they're owned by like the same people. So like we get to live in one of the houses, and then we get to film in the other house, and we can film inside, outside. The owners know exactly what we're doing. Um, so it makes things a lot easier. And I like to have permission, before going
Yeah.
into a project, just because it makes things a lot easier. So that's really honestly the hardest part about that. Now with budget, um, indie film they're usually passion projects, but the ideas behind the films are really good because it's coming from, like usually the people start out as fans if you're doing horror, which I do that. I work I only do horror films, and that's it. Um, and the budget, like, you have to pay all your actors, you
Yeah.
have to pay cinematographer, lighting, and then you have to like pay someone to score your film. And if they're doing like an original score, like I had Vestron Vulture do my score on my last film. So like he made, like, I want to say it was like 20, I hope I'm not wrong, I think it's like 22 original songs.
Oh
And
wow.
you have to, yeah, you have to pay for that. And then you have to, like, a lot of people don't understand this part of it either. Like you have to transcribe the entire film. So like if somebody goes like a little bit off script and they're kind of like, might say like an extra word or something, you have to like send your film in and transcribe it. And then you have to not only do that, but you have to like what is it called? Um, like say like a song starts to play, you have to
Yeah.
look at like the time code, and you have to have all the time codes written down, and you have to get all this done to turn into a distribution company. Like they require that. So there's a lot more work, I feel like, that goes into it that most people don't see. And like when you have like a limited budget, it really is kind of like, you're pulling every penny, you're
Yeah.
using every dollar. So that's why, like, when somebody gives like $5 to like a campaign
Yeah.
that I have, I'm always like, thank you so much. Like, you have no idea. They're usually like, oh, it's not much. I'm like, no, 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 you have no idea how much like $5 goes. Like, it goes a long way. So yeah.
Well, welcome on in, Doom, and hey, Lisa. I just want to say huge congrats to Doom as well for making the community crunch on Arc. That's amazing.
Thank you.
You can. Oh, there you go. Just as you finish that, there is your Indigo campaign being posted by the bot. You guys can go check that out, and I believe you have some perks where you can even be mentioned in. I saw you had been mentioned in like your Is it the Necromonicon? Am I pronouncing that right?
We do have a lot of perks on the Scream Dream campaign, and I will say, like, on this campaign, we have a lot of fun perks. So like we have your face like in the film. So like if you do that, like you send us a photo, we'll have it like in a photo frame, or we'll have it like on a missing poster or like a milk carton. Um, so we'll do that. We also have like where you can like even be in the film, which is kind of a really cool perk. Like
Hmm.
we have like get killed, or you can like act in the film. So what's really cool about those, it's someone who's not really like a trained, someone who's not a trained actor or
Yeah.
had, the craft. Uh, like we, like you can pay for that. You come up on set, and basically it like covers like any type of like special effect or something that we might do on you. So we come in, we direct you through it, we talk you through it, and you kind of like get like a see the process like behind the scenes, and then we kill you on screen. So
So, guys, you want your chance to die in a horror movie? Check out the Indiegogo campaign there that's going to be posted. So, the one thing I liked about your campaign too is that you were very explicit that 100% of the proceeds go towards your filmmaking. A lot of other campaigns I was looking over didn't have that.
Yes, 100% of it does go to the film. And we are like, what we're doing with Scream Dream, it's a very aesthetic film. I don't know if anybody saw Deadly Dealings when it played in the Sarah Horror Film Festival online. I know like a lot of people were reaching out to me whenever they had that because it was a really cool festival. And I think we got like over 600 views. But one of the things that like people kept talking about was the aesthetic. So what we're doing is we're taking the aesthetic of that film and applying it to Scream Dream by like 100%. So we have to have like every dime we can get for this because it's going to be like really colorful. We're using like, it's called bisexual lighting, where you have like pink, purple, and blue lighting that clashes each other. But we're also doing like the glamour makeup, 80s makeup, 80s wardrobe, and holographic costumes, and very metal looking costumes as well. So um, it's going to be kind of interesting. So it does take a lot to do that.
So, let's get back to your roots. What got you into horror out of all the categories you could have picked?
So that goes way back to when I was a very small child. And there used to be a video store called Movie Time Video in Newport, Tennessee, where I grew up. And every weekend, like, well, even like throughout the week, we were always there because they had like tanning beds, and then they had like, movies. So like my sister or somebody would go to like the tanning bed, and I would be in the movie room trying to find like a like movies because it was $5, 5 nights, five let's see,
Yeah.
$5, 5 nights, movies. So we would, I would constantly stay in the horror section because the video covers were just so cool looking, and I probably watched that entire section by the time um time I was like hitting 13. And I know I had saw like 68 of the Video Nasties band list by the time I was 13. So I was just constantly renting them, constantly watching them. And one of the fun facts is, two fun facts is there was always a movie there called Cannibal Hookers,
Okay.
and I was never allowed to watch it. My mother would crucify me if I,
I think the
and
title speaks for itself there.
yeah. And what was funny was back in 2020, or I think it was 2020, maybe it was 2019. I got a message from one of my friends, and it was Donald Farmer, and he's the original director. And he was asking me, he was like, "Would you like to be in the remake of Cannibal Hookers?" And I was like, "What?" Like, yeah. So that was kind of interesting. Just fun fact, it was like, if you could go back when I was like a child and tell me that, like, hey, you're gonna be in that remake when you're older, I would not have believed you at all. And I always would rent. There was always 3 movies that I would rent out of the 5 for every weekend, and one of them was Scream Dream. So it's kind of surreal that it's like, it's now like 2023, and I've gained the rights to remake this film. So it's kind of like a full circle because I've watched that movie like over and over and over as a kid, and so it is kind of unique that that happened. But that's what got me into horror. Was I was always at the movie store. I loved it. I was never allowed to watch like scary movies on TV, but they would allow me to rent them. So so it's kind of like what got me into it, and I've watched horror my entire life. Um, Growing up, I don't really watch anything else. It just doesn't interest.
Doesn't interest you. So we ask a lot of difficult questions around here, and my first difficult question is, what's your favorite horror film?
Ooh, well, horror is such a unique genre because it's hard to say because there are so many subgenres that
Mm-hmm.
it's kind of like it's almost unfair to not have a favorite from each. But if I had to say what my favorite horror film would be, I would have to say, and it hurts to say it because there are so many amazing other movies out there, but I love The Evil Dead. Um, I watch that movie constantly. The film was actually made like 30 minutes from where I live right now.
Oh,
And I
wow.
actually have a piece of the cabin in my room sitting over here. Um, so, and I got a piece that like had already fallen and broken off and was on the ground. I was not going to take, away from what was there. But no, I've visited it twice now, where the ruins of the cabin, and it's just I love it so much. Like I love Cheryl's character, and I just have to say this because nobody ever thinks about these things. Like she was in a hole for like most of that film, and her acting was and her performance was really effective. But you have to think like she's just acting with like her eyes, her face, and her hands. The rest of her body was just in a hole. So I think it was a really strong performance, and I think a lot of people don't think of it like that.
Yeah.
So love that she was able to do that and pull it off, and um, it was a grueling experience for everyone that is involved on that film. And I just think it's kind of unique and one of my favorite films that I watch at least once or twice a week.
Did you ever play the game? They just recently brought out a game, I think about 6 months ago.
I heard about that. I haven't played it. I really wanted to get it, but I was funding another film. I spent I think it was like out of my own money, I spent 40 grand for
Holy
another
shit.
film, and yeah, it was a grueling experience for me because I was working so much overtime from like 8 a.m. to 2 a.m. every day for 7 months. So that was a lot. I was a lot. So like every penny I could get, I was putting towards this film. So I missed out on a lot, and I missed out on the game, and I'm really upset about it. But I will say, I do own, and I hate to say that it's bootleg, but it's the only way to get it. Like Within the Woods, the prequel to The Evil Dead. So it was like Sam Raimi's pitch film where he like made like a short film and pitched it to producers. And it's like The Evil Dead, but it's reversed. So the girl that plays Cheryl, the sister, she's actually the lead, and Bruce is, I want to say she's the boyfriend, and or he's the boyfriend, and same thing happens, like the possession and all that. And it's just really, it's like 30 minutes long, but it's a really amazing short. If you can watch it all on YouTube if you want to. So it is on there. But I do have that, so I'm not really sad that I missed the game, but I would like to play it at least, at some point.
It's free on PlayStation Plus at the moment, so I'll be downloading that. But Asian says your dedication to your passion is amazing.
Oh, well, thank you.
So, what's your favorite subgenre of horror? Since you were talking about subgenres.
Mm. Well, I love the Italian films, so the giallo, um, those films, I hold very close to me. Like, I am highly inspired by like Mario Bava, Lucio Fulci, um, Dario Argento, and what's really funny is like when I was younger, I couldn't stand watching Lucio Fulci's films when I was a kid. I would watch them, but I just didn't have the appreciation because I felt like it was just a little over my head at such a young age. Like watching like New York Ripper or something like that, or like House by the Cemetery. I just didn't get it, you know? But as I got older, I was appreciating Argento at such an early age. Like before I was 10 years old, I loved Suspiria. Like I watched it religiously. And I loved Tenebrae and Phenomena. And when I got to the point where I kind of like started to watch more Giallo, I started watching Fulci. And I have to say that two of my favorite films from Fulci is Lizard in a Woman's Skin, which I think is one of the most brilliant films ever made. And it's just such a mind bender. It makes you think so hard. And I'm actually a collector of Anita Strandberg's films. So I have like her entire filmography. But like I really love like how he kind of like messed with your mind and showed you what was happening, but because you see exactly what it is, you question yourself if that's what it was. So I just don't think that there's another film like it. And I love New York Ripper. I think it's just the ultimate slasher, in my opinion. And with Bava, I had such a appreciation for Mario Bava because like when you watch Blood and Black Lace, that movie is absolutely stunning. It's beautiful. The lighting is perfect. And it's just there's he doesn't miss one thing in that film. Like he hits every note in that film perfectly. And I just like I don't know if you've ever seen like let's see, Lisa and the Devil. That's another one. It's like really atmospheric that he did, and it's a perfect film in my opinion. And I think that the Giallo films really they really go all out, kind of like I feel like almost kind of like what I'm here my filmmaking as is where I kind of go all out and I
Yeah.
have everything very stylized. So that to me is important, and I think that that's something that a lot of films miss out on today. And you can kind of go back and you can see, oh, like they obviously took the time with the actor to, get the makeup, get the wardrobe. The sets are elaborate, and that I have a really big appreciation for.
Dingo just joined in. Welcome on in, bud. And he said he grew up with Dario Argento. He was creepy on set and off set.
He is. Oh, so do they know him? Because I've met him one time. I met Dario one time. He was a very nice man. Um, but yeah. So I mean, Dario. I just love his work. He really has an eye for color and for like the way he does his slashers and things like that. He just is
Yep.
so intense. I love him. So that's huge inspiration from childhood right there. Argento, massively. I think everybody loves Argento.
Yes, he said yes, he did know him and grew up with him. So
That's amazing. That's amazing. I'm so jealous. Seriously.
nice man, but he had a specific image. So
Yes.
Sky says here, are you into horror in other mediums like books? Is there a book you'd like to adapt into a horror film?
That's kind of a funny question to me. I literally can't focus on reading. I have to, well, I do audiobooks. So like I think recently my most recent book I was listening to Audible was like The Exorcist. And that's the only way that I can like read a book. But I can turn out a script in like give me a month and I'm turning out like I've already got like 8 rewrites done. But I I tend to kind of stick with film a little bit more. Games scare me. I'm going to tell everybody, like, I've never told anybody this, but like I'm petrified of like scary games like Silent Hill or Resident Evil. I don't know what it is. Like I remember I was telling somebody about this last night actually. Like they were asking me like, "Do you play games?" And I was like, "Well, I was like, not so much anymore. I had my consoles got stolen, so I don't really have like all of them." But I was playing Silent Hill 2 years ago, and I actually got so scared like there was like this jump scare, and I kicked my Xbox across the room and broke my toe. Like, I was just petrified. So it didn't break the Xbox, but it did break my toe. And I just I always like get the worst nightmares when I play like games or something like that. Um
Well,
different than the
there's only been
yeah.
one time where a video game scared me, and I was playing Ghostbusters on PlayStation 3 when it first came out. Instead of bringing out a new movie, they did a game, and it was 2 a.m. in the morning. I had a full surround sound system set up in my game room, and I went through the library, did a little side mission and stuff, and just out of the blue, I was in the stairwell, and all I heard was a child's voice say, "Goodbye," and I just wasn't expecting it. It scared the shit out of me.
Wow.
But
Yeah, I would be scared too.
uh, Dingo asks if you like the Galio genre. Did you like the Prime Video series Run, Sweetheart, Run?
Run Sweetheart Run. I think that's where the girl is running the whole movie, isn't it? I'm pretty
Yes,
sure.
yes, I watched it as well. It was curious.
Okay. I loved that movie. When I watched it, I had no idea what I was getting into. I just turned it on because I saw like somebody had like posted they were watching it, and I just turned it on and went in completely blind. Absolutely loved it. I was kind of like surprised. I was wishing that there was more films that was that fast paced. It was a really good movie. I loved it.
Hmm. So, obviously, being a fan of horror and that, what do you think about the paranormal in real life?
Ooh, well, I'm gonna tell y'all a story, and that I don't mess with it. I try not to do anything with it. When I have two instances in my life where I have like dealt with paranormal.
Mm-hmm.
Would I say do I believe in it or not? I don't understand it. Um, but what I will say is a few years ago, my grandmother passed away, and she had kind of like a she had encephalitis, which gave her brain damage. So it was she went to bed fine one night, and she woke up the next morning, and it was as if she had dementia 100% instantly, and she
Hmm.
never came back from it. So it was very hard growing up with that, but she had she like everything changed. But when she passed away, there was a lot that I had left to say, if that makes sense.
Yep.
So it was like 2 years later, like on the date that she had, I believe it was the date that she had passed away. Um, I was like sleeping in my bed, and I just woke up, and she was standing at the end of my bed, and she was just waving at me. And like I stood there staring at her for like 5 minutes, and she just walked away, and that was it. And it always just felt really comforting. It never scared me. It just was really comforting. But the other instance where I dealt with anything paranormal was there was a film set uh, that I was on in Louisville, Kentucky. Which, if you ever look at the history in like the old Louisville, Kentucky,
Yep.
it's interesting. I used to live there, and like 3 minutes of my backyard was like the Waverly Hills Sanatorium. So like, no, no, thank you. But I think my brother, he went to Waverly Hills like so many times and it freaked him out. But I would never go. Like I refused to go. But we were on a film set and it was this beautiful like 3-story Victorian home, and it was just elaborate. It looked like it was stuck in time from when it was first built. All the furniture and everything in it. Well, we're filming, and I was like, "Who are these people?" Like everybody kept seeing all these people on set that was not supposed to be there, and they were like wearing old clothes, and it wasn't just me; it was like everyone. And I remember like that there was one instance where I was like up on the 3rd floor and it was like late at night. I want to say it was like maybe like 3 o'clock in the morning, and our special effects artist, he had to run to we didn't need him for the day. So he was actually had planned to go to another shoot and do some like special effects on a shoot and then come back that night. Because basically he had like a free day. And I was staying up to wait for him to make sure that he got there safely and everything. And the house was pitch black inside, like it was so dark. And we everybody was dead asleep. There was no sound whatsoever. And I was I was like in this like corridor upstairs that um, overlooked all the stairwell going down. It was like this spiral staircase, basically just going all the way down.
Mhm.
And I heard the door open, it closed. There was all this chattering, and I was like, "Damn, they're gonna wake somebody up." And there was like all this noise and like clanking, and And I walked downstairs, and there's nobody there, and it just
Huh.
freaked me out. And I was like, I could hear all this talking, and you would like go down. I know, like I saw it like several times, like on the 2nd level of the house. There was always this woman in like this like elaborate dress that would just walk through the hallway,
Mhm.
and you'd just be like, "Who? Like, where is this coming from? Like, am I seeing this?" Like, you'd question yourself. Like, it was so ridiculously in your face that you just didn't believe it. And there was a scene that I had to do in the basement. And the basement was an interesting place. Like nobody wanted to go there. When you walked down, like as you'd walk in the basement, your heart would start racing. Like it did this to everyone.
Hmm.
Your heart would start racing and your ears would start buzzing. And like when that moment, like when something scares you and like you just get like all your nerves are just kind of like buzzing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it
Like
does.
as we walked in the basement, it was as if that was happening and it wouldn't stop. So it became nausea inducing to the point that you just wanted to throw up
Ugh.
while you were down there. And it was just so, this feeling of just like, I couldn't handle it. Like I just had to get out of the basement. And like that was pretty much everybody that was there. And it was just a really weird experience. There was an instance where um, my my co-star Steve McGill, which I live with him as well. He was upstairs, and we were talking, and we were having this conversation on the 3rd floor. And whenever we were talking, this person just walked out of the corner out of nowhere, and I was so taken by it. I was just like, I didn't know what to do, so I ran all the way downstairs in tears. And I left him up there, and I feel so bad. And when we went back up there to check on him, like I was distraught and just crying and just unnerved over it. I went and I ran to like the cinematographer, and when I went upstairs to find Steve, because he never came down, um, he was fixated on the bed with his eyes rolled in the back of his head, and his body was twisted in such a way that I was surprised that his bones were not broken. Um, and he came out of it and he was okay. And I never want to go back to that house ever again. And I never want to look at it. Everybody in the neighborhood, when they found out that we were filming there was not one neighbor who did not come up to us and said, "Why are you staying in this house?" Everybody leaves. Everybody leaves. Everyone warned us. I didn't believe it. I thought it was just like one of those like old tales. But
Yeah.
no, that was the first time that I had ever truly been in a real haunted house that they put up as an Airbnb. And obviously, there's a reason it's an Airbnb because nobody wants to live there. So
Oh, well, at least their turnover rate's quite good, I guess. But
never again, y'all.
Another difficult question: who's the most difficult person you've had to work with?
Oh, well, I could definitely say that. It would be on the film Reunion from Hell that I worked on. I'm probably gonna get backlash for this, but I really don't care. I never got
Cindy
paid.
said when I asked the question.
I never got paid for that film, and they never got my signature for like you're supposed to sign like a contract saying that they can use your image because everyone owns a copyright and that's your image. So nobody can steal your image. That's important for everyone to know. So like nobody can just film you and put it out. Like you have to give consent. That's the most important thing you could ever do. So they never got my signature. Um, it was like the week of on shooting, like we were supposed to shoot. They did not even have the locations. They had no cast. They had like I think two people that he had hired, and they had no cinematographer. They had
Yep, we lost Adam. Hang on, guys. Yeah, hang on. Zoom's playing up. Hang on, guys. Hope you're enjoying this. It's been amazing. Hey, guys. Sorry I haven't had a chance to say hi to you all. Yeah, huge congrats on Doom for getting the community crunch. That's awesome. It's amazing. I can't wait to see what you come out with next. It's awesome, actually. Here we go. I think I got him back. Welcome on in, Dingo. Hello. Yeah, so sorry, I told you it cuts out.
Oh, that's okay. You want me to start back where I was at?
Yes, please.
Okay. So, they had nothing for this film. They had no locations, nothing. And I was a line producer at that point. I had worked in several films. So I had worked with Steve and I lived together. So I was like, get Steve involved. He's really talented. So there was another actor. I had worked with Jessa Flux on Cannibal Hookers. So bam, there was another actor. I had worked with Cody from Truly Madly. And I like took the role of twins. So I did I gave all these ideas to like switch it up so it would make it work with like the twin thing and like the opening of the film. And basically, I didn't get really much credit for that. And I'm really bitter about that film, but I'm so open about it now. Like I just don't really care like to talk about it. But it's what happened was I got all this together in 3 days. So the cinematographer, he did the music for Truly Madly. So I didn't know that he did cinematography, and somebody was like, "Oh, he does cinematography as well." So I had recommended him, talked to him, and then like his wife did the lighting and stuff like that, and she also did acting. And so there was another actor. They did the lighting and stuff. So basically, what had happened? Oh, and the special effects. I had worked with, and I just want to say, Derek Warely, amazing special effects artist. He even worked on like Zombieland Double Tap, y'all, and he is super talented. But I got him involved because I had worked on an extreme anthology film. It was like one of those underground red films called Fucked, Fukt. Um, well, wait till y'all see it. I ain't even go into that. But it is the most gruesome, dark little movie you ever seen. But got him involved. So I had all my friends involved, and I put all this together. My family lives up in Louisville, Kentucky, so I had access to a lot of locations up there because they own their own like business and everything. So they had um, all these locations, like this abandoned house that they were about to demolish the day of, and I was like, no, 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 let's use that. So they stopped the demolishing of the house, and we actually got to film in an old abandoned house and just destroy the inside of it.
Oh, nice.
So that was fun. But the only location that I didn't get was like the main house. And I just, recommend, I was like, hey, we got an Airbnb that we all can stay in. And then we used it for the filming. So what he had done was he double casted the actors. So like there was a lot of people it's in the indie community that was cast in roles, and then like there was like name actors, which I'm not going to say their name on here, but some of them were very good friends of mine, and everybody was just double casted. So it was like I didn't know this at the time. So it was just the worst experience because it was like this director had no idea what he was doing. Like, like he had like a background in theater, which is fine, but like theater is very different from film because in theater you're acting for your audience.
Yeah.
So like you have to be big and theatrical. And when you're on film, you're acting for the camera and the camera only, not an audience. So it's a big difference in acting. But if you can pull it off, hey, you can pull it off. Some people can't, and I've seen that, but some people can really, like, they just know where the audience is. Like, they know, like, if the camera is the audience, so they're able to pull that off. So what he had done was he double casted, and he had gotten, like, people to, like, give to, what was it, to, like, to the film and stuff, but there was people who like paid to be on set, and like he was like sending them home, and he was like giving false information about him, and I felt bad like later on because like, hey, they supported the film. But by the end of it all, I was like, I had worked with Kathy Podwell from Night of the Demons in that movie, and she's amazing, by the way, everyone. She's perfect and amazing in A Ray of Sunshine. So we had and we actually talked about this like later on, but he like calls me up and he's like feeding me like all this negative information about her until finally I was just like, why, like I said to C word, I was like, why is she being like such a, and it wasn't like, it wasn't real. I thought it was real, and that was the moment that he was like, oh, if you ever say anything negative about the film, then I want to come out and tell Kathy what you said. And I'm like, wait a minute. So like he was trying to get blackmail on me. And I was like, what? So I went straight to Kathy months later, and I was like, Kathy, I just told her everything. And I was just like, I said this, that I was like, I was being fed all this information. And it was like I RSVP'd for like the movie premiere, and like I had gotten like an invitation in the mail, and everybody was staying at this hotel, and he apparently told everyone that I wasn't coming. So I show up at this premiere, and nobody expects me to be there, and I have no room, nothing. And I was like, I was just gonna go home, but of course, like that was me and Steve because we lived together. And Jessa was like, and that's another co-star of mine, Jessa Flug. She was like, no, 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 just stay, just stay. So I stayed. We got a room at like a different place, and we went to the premiere of this. But it was just so unorganized and just so bad. Well, whenever excuse me, whenever the director like came up to me and he was like, so I don't want to direct part 2. I want to focus on acting. I'm going to have you write part 2 and you can direct it. And I was like, sure thing. So I started writing part 2 and I wrote like a good portion of it. And I
Mhm.
was so excited that I had told Kathy about it and I called her and I told her about it right when I first got told, and I had already written a few. So I was like telling her about it. The director stole the script and made the film.
Oh
And
wow.
she found out because she knew that I was working on that script, and I had read some of it to her and told her the news. And yeah, so it just had its premiere a few weeks ago, I believe. So a lot of people are supporting him back in that project, and people don't, people may not know, and that's fine. But it is a stolen script. Some of the names and stuff were changed. And I'm sure a lot of the script has like been changed up. But when I mentioned it to the director, he was like, "Prove it," and I was like, "Okay, that's fine. We live and we learn. We make mistakes. That's my bad. I should not have, shared that script. I should not have come up with the idea of a cabin and Christmas time and whatever." But I did, and you live and you learn. And when people do you dirty, just
Welcome to
cut
the
them out of your
film
life.
industry.
And it's the film industry. So, but oftentimes, when you burn bridges, you keep burning bridges and you keep doing people that way. Um, Eventually, you're not going to have anyone left. So,
Yeah.
you know, wish the people well, and I hope that the film is successful, and I hope that whatever, but I have let go of like any animosity towards it, and I just hope that the people that take away from that is that you know be creative. You're taking half of the fun out of it for you. Like even if you took my script and you changed it up, you could have come up with a whole concept yourself, and that's something that you're going to have to live with for the rest of your life, knowing yourself that you didn't come up with that concept, that you stole it off someone else.
Yeah.
So you know I myself, like when I come up with something and I put in a movie, or I like recommend something, you you're proud of it, and you can watch the movie and say, hey, I came up with that. Hey, like I did this. People who still can't say that, and for the rest of their life that's going to be on their mind. Some other people may not know, but it's going to be on their mind that they're not that creative.
Yeah.
So mhm.
So, one of the biggest questions I get asked, because I've done quite a few of these interviews and stuff, is that, and I pose this to you, is that what advice could you give to someone that wants to get started in the independent film industry?
Oh, like network, go to conventions. Even like the convention part, the networking in it is amazing because there's tons of indie directors there. Especially like here, like in the US.
Yep.
There's tons of them, and I know like the UK has a lot of conventions as well. I'm not really familiar with like indie directors from like foreign countries, just because I haven't really networked with them.
Yep.
But I'm sure they're out there. But yeah, networking, it's huge. It's incredible. You can do anything through networking. And it's kind of like that. That's how I got started into it. Like I went into professional Hollywood acting classes, and from there that's what Del Dickey, the actress who told me about these classes. I went and took those, and then kind of like I myself told myself, no matter what, don't say no at the beginning. But that's not true for everyone. If you don't feel safe, if you don't feel comfortable, don't do it.
Yeah.
So I was just really comfortable with myself. So I was getting picked to do roles that involved like male nudity and very graphic content. And I just didn't want to say no to it, so I did it. And it's not like it's a big part of, you know,
Your resume.
my career, but it kind of pushed it, got me in the door a little bit more. Um, but yeah, so you network, go, and you can go to a talent agency. Any reputable talent agency will have an acting coach. And what they do sometimes separately is they'll be like, okay, we'll give you classes. And like, I think mine was like $1,200. So it was like for 2 years. So for 2 years at 1,200, I went and took for these acting classes, and it was like professional acting classes from like a Hollywood acting coach. And they not only taught you how to act, but they also go over contracts with you. They go over how to be safe, what to expect. Like if you're in a sex scene, how is that supposed to be shot? It's supposed to be a closed set, not an open set. Like they go over absolutely everything with you, and they teach you how to be safe. And then at the end of it, like they'll ask you, like, do you want to join the agency, or do you not want to? And I went independently, so I did not join the
Yeah.
agency. But from there, you just network. You can also, some people that I've seen, and some people get kind of like some flashback over it, is like when you sell perks on film, um, there is like you pay to play is what it's called, is what people call it. Some people don't like that because they're like, oh, you shouldn't have to, like actors shouldn't have to pay. Well, in reality, you're not an actor. You know what I'm
Yeah,
saying? Like
you're an investor at that point.
yeah, you don't have the experience, and I've seen a lot of people pay to be in a film, and they're so good and they're so talented that when the film comes out, people see it, and then they're already networking in the community, so they get hired for another role, and it just keeps happening for them. So it's not a bad thing if you pay to play, but some people look at it as it is because they're thinking from their standpoint is you pay your actors instead of them paying you. Well, that's right, you do pay your actors, but then you have investors who can pay to become a part of the film, and it also can help them get a jump start in a career that they may never get a chance to be in
Yeah.
because they might already be talented. So that's how you can start. And I'm sure, also like it's not like a lot of people think that you have to have all this fancy equipment now. But like me, like I'm just anal and have to, I have to have
Yeah.
like a cinematographer, sound and aesthetics and lighting and all that. But you can literally just go out, get a camera with a boom mic, and you can make a movie.
Well, I
And you
think
can
they've
get
proved
it.
that on TikTok, haven't they? Getting
Yeah,
30 million views on 1.5 minute videos.
yeah, you can. There's so many ways like to do, and like shot on video. You can do shot on video, horror film, and um, I mean, people love that. It has such a big. I feel like shot on video is like becoming even bigger than what it used to be, but had that feel to it. Um, and then there's like a lot of like editing apps on your phone or programs that you can get where you can like recolor it or you can do stuff to it. So everybody has it at their fingertips. They just have to know the process and like how to figure it out and and do it. And obviously, don't keep telling yourself I'm going to, say I'm going to, and act on it.
Yeah.
So yeah.
So, what do you think of found footage? I like posing this question because I really can't stand it myself. I think the only one I really enjoyed was Cannibal Holocaust.
Okay. Well, I have to say this. Found footage is very hard to film. Like, I have been part of like a found footage film before. Um, it was part of a series. It's literally called Found Footage, but it was. I have a respect for it because you have to think like there's a movie that I recently watched, maybe well, not recently, like a couple of years ago. It's called Evidence. It's a found footage movie that's literally my favorite found footage film. And they have all these long shots of just running through the woods and talking, and it just keeps going and going and going. And when I say long shot, I mean it's not cutting away, it's not
Yeah.
cutting the camera. Like it's like that takes massive talent to pull that off. Because if you mess up one time, then you've got to redo that whole long shot. And anyone who can pull that off is talented. So I I have I personally don't watch a lot of found footage films, but I have a respect for them. And
Yeah.
if you haven't, check out the movie Evidence because it is so good and it is so scary and it has like incredible shots all the way through it. So yeah.
So Lydia from the UK, actually, since we were talking about the UK, asked, what was the hardest part with getting into film? Like, was it straightforward or was it a hard process?
Um, getting into film is easy, I feel like. It's the sometimes it's like what happens, like I think in indie film is like you find your film family and then you keep working with the same people, which is amazing. But then it's like the hard part is like expanding your film family and working in other people's films because everybody kind of wants to work with the same people once they have, you know, met someone talented or really well. It's like they can cast the same people over and over, which is fine. There's nothing wrong with that.
Yeah.
But there's been several directors that I've wanted to work with really bad, but it's kind of like they tend to, I don't get hired or and that's fine. Like, maybe I wasn't right for the part,
Yeah.
but I tend to notice I'm like, oh, they have the same cast from their previous film, so it's okay. There's nothing wrong with that. Like I said, I've worked with I have a film. I've worked with like Ronnie Jonah, um, and Jessa Flux, Steve McGill, Dixie Gares, Donald Farmer. I've worked with these same people over and over again, like in
Yeah.
numerous films. And it's always a blast because it's like, I told you I don't really hang out with like a lot of people. I haven't hung out with anybody in like 5 or 6 years. So it's kind of like when you get on set, it's like a little reunion and you're all friends and you're just happy to see each other. And then it's just, when you work with like 5 films and you just keep going back to the set and the same people there, it's kind of awesome. So getting into film, I would say, is the easiest on from my perspective, but moving to like other parts and auditioning from that can get a little bit harder. So, yeah.
Okay, so we have 2 questions here from Mr. Dingo. The first one is, if you had all the resources you wanted, what would be a film that you'd like to shoot regardless of the market, only based on your dream film? He's very specific.
So there's a film that I've wanted to make for a while. I have a script for it. The problem is that the budget would be unreal, I feel like. I'm kind of waiting for it to be like my 3rd or 4th film if I can, because like I said, it is I've had people try to buy the script off of me and I keep saying no to it because I really want to keep it.
Yep.
But it was a film called the working title was Halloween Night. And it was it was a possession film, but it takes place on Halloween. It's like Night of the Demons meets The Evil Dead, meets like Hollywood chainsaw hookers, like with the chainsaw fights. There's chainsaw fights. There's possession. There's like throwing heads around, turning heads into jack-o'-lanterns. There's lots of vomiting and puking out blood everywhere and like and black. But it's a really fun script, and if I never make it, it's okay. But I do want to say that's the one film that I would absolutely love to make. I wrote it as if it was an 80s film that you never had. So it has a lot of tropes in it. It had it just has so much character into the script, and I would absolutely love to make that. But I think that film would have to have like $100,000 in order to be real.
Yeah.
Just because there's so many, like you're looking at probably like 50 grand in just special effects from what's
Yeah.
written. Um, but I will say my new Scream Dream film, which campaign's up right now, um, we kind of have taken some of the tropes and things like that, like every trope that you can possibly think of, and put in a film where I think that this film is kind of turning into that one, but we're able to do it like on a much smaller scale and pull it off. So I'm gonna feel complete either way.
Yeah. Well, you bring up your campaign here, and Dingo's second question was, which perk would we need to get get our gaming stuff mentioned in your film there? Which would be the best perk for us?
So the best perk for what? I'm sorry.
To get our gaming organization and my Twitch name in your film there. Which perk would we need to get for that?
Oh, to be like a part of the film. Like, well, any of the perks, they come with like a special thanks. Like I'm gonna like if you donate, if you give, you're gonna get a special thanks. But we have some things like on there where like you can like put your photo in, and you can have your picture in the film. We also have like act in film, but like let's say like you live in a different country or
Yeah.
something like that. We have there's going to be areas of the film like for example, our lead is supposed to be like watching TV at one point. So like on the TV, like you can like pre-record something and send it into us, and then like we can put it on the TV playing in the background of the film. Um, so like you're in the film on the TV. Um, or like say it's like a newscasting, but then you can also, we've had one of I think it was from Australia,
Oh, there you
where
go.
the guy was from. And he bought his voice in the film. So what he's gonna do is like we're gonna give him a script, like a scripting, like we'll send it to him after the campaign ends. But basically the way it's gonna work is, and I know he's had experience doing this, because one of the people that's helped me run the campaign, I believe knows him from other campaigns, and they said that he was really good. So what we'll do is we're going to give him like a script, and like we're going to have him kind of like broadcasting on a radio, and we have like this like 80s pink boombox that we found for like off eBay. So like we're gonna like play it as if like in the opening of the film, where like she's like waking up, the boombox is there, and like it's playing the radio, and like he's on the radio talking, got that great radio voice, and then it just kind of like goes into like some like 80s synthwave music. And so like his voice is in the film, so he's going to be credited as well. So
Okay. So
you
the precise question is, if we wanted to have our favorite game server, the Ascension cluster, which is mine, showcased, how much would that perk cost? What would be the best perk for us to do?
showcase. I don't think I'm understanding. I'm sorry. So like you mean to like have like your show showcased in it?
Not my show, like just our name.
Oh,
So
your name.
I'm looking through the
I'm sorry.
Necromonicon here.
Got you. Okay. So for the Necronomicon, we have a really big book that we're going to be writing names in, and the lead's going to be like looking through it. So like if you go on there and you're able to purchase the Necronomicon, which I think, I'm not sure how much that perk was off the top of my head, but when you purchase it, you have to fill out like your name on there. So put down the name that you want on the perk, because what we'll do is we're going to take that and we're going to write it really big in this book that we have, and the camera is going to be right on screen with it. So Yeah, that's how that one's gonna work. I want to say, let me see if I can pull it up real fast. Here we go. Necronomicon. There it is. It's $55 for that. So it's going to be in the book, be up close on camera, and that's how the name will be on there as well.
Nice. So where can they, I saw you were posting on Facebook the other day, where can they go to, that's the only link I don't have, where can they go to purchase your previous movie? Is that on Amazon? Is that on Tubi or?
So the thing about Deadly Dealings is I do have I have like 1,000 Blu-rays sitting in my living room of that movie. It y'all please mom get them out of my living room please. Like there's like 17 boxes in my living room, but it is available for purchase. You can purchase it through the campaign if you'd like to. I am not pushing the film until after the campaign, just because I don't want that to like. I want to kind of focus on Scream Dream. However, what I will say about Deadly Dealings is that the Blu-rays that I have is in 4K, so the picture quality is outstanding. We do have a distribution company who is going to be putting Deadly Dealings out in every major retailer worldwide, and it'll also be on streaming. But they're only putting it out on DVD in the stores, so it's going to. I don't see the DVD being as clear as this Blu-ray. So if you want a 4K version of Deadly Dealings, if you've seen the screenshots from it, it's a beautiful film. It took a really talented crew to pull off what we did with that, and it's very glittery, tons of glitter, y'all, and a lot of gore. But I have them for sale. You can message me on Facebook under Adam Freeman. And it's gonna be the my cover photo literally says Scream Dream because I have a backup account. So just go to the one that says Scream Dream on my cover photo, and you can definitely tell that I'm active on there, and you can order it from me. I will say that shipping overseas is a little bit expensive, so you're gonna look at probably. I know I sent one out. I think it was Australia where I sent it to. It was I want to say like $15 to send one Blu-ray and like in like a small shipping package to Australia. So it's $30 for the film. It'll be $15 to ship it, and that is the cheapest. Like I have checked. I think like there was some like in the UK, I think even France was a little bit more expensive. So like if you're not willing to pay like the shipping on it, know that it is going to come out on DVD later this year, but it's not going to be 4K. So I also have like posters of it that's signed by the cast, and there's two people in this household that was in the film that are leads. So like we'll sign it, send it. And I hope that you all love it if you get it, because we did get seven, I believe it's 7 nominations and 1 win on that film.
Wow. Okay.
So,
the future outside of the Indiegogo campaign you're doing now, what do you hope for the future?
for Scream Dream?
Mm-hmm.
So, with Scream Dream, like, what I hope for the future is I hope that it is as smooth as it is right now, because there's always bumps in the road. But what we have right now with Scream Dream is we've got locations. We're working on wardrobe right now, so what I do differently from like other directors in this community is I get with every actor and I go over their hair, their makeup, their clothing. I have to approve everything, their jewelry, anything they wear. So not a lot of people do that. Like you just show up to set and like
Yeah.
they tell you to wear something, you know. So I'm really, really detailed, and then I'm really detailed on my sets. So there's a lot of work that's going to go into this coming up here in the future. So um, I have to have. I'm hoping to bring in at least 20K on this Indiegogo because we have a lot of props that we need to put into the main location. And I tend to like what I do also is I try to do like really like interesting things throughout each frame of the film. So like on my last film, we bought like a few $100s of like flowers, and we like had flowers throughout like every room of the home. And we had like glass domes of like flowers and glass roses that lit up, and you know, we had, and it was for every shot there was just roses and all these flowers everywhere, and it was just really beautiful, and it made it more cinematic, especially when we colored it and used like pink and purple lighting, um, and then we used like glitter, so it was really aesthetic. So we have a lot of stuff that we have to get. So I hope that it stays smooth, that we keep bringing in that budget. That way we can do everything that we're wanting to do with this.
Yeah.
There's a lot of makeup that we have to order for this because this is 80s. And when I say like 80s, everybody automatically, I think, goes to that rustic 80s look like Stranger Things.
Yeah.
We're not doing that. We're not doing that. We're doing the colorful, big hair, neon colors. We're get your scrunchie in on your hair. Like we're going all out to make this like 80s aesthetic. But also, like when I say like an 80s throwback, I think people think automatically just the look. But what I'm going for is like when you watch an 80s film, it always has that look and that feel and that vibe. And that's what we're going for. We're bringing a script to you that has that vibe. So there's a lot that we have to pull off, and it's the most ambitious project I've ever been a part of, and that is what I hope going in the future stays kind of easy for us, because right now everything's going smooth, and it seems to be really it seems to be like really really going really well, and it's just all about how you pre-plan. So I do pre-production months in advance. Some people are able to throw up a crowdfunder, they shoot their movie in a month, and it's out 2 weeks later. I don't know how they do it, but like if that must be a lot of stress. So, but we do a lot of planning and a lot of detailed work.
Well, it's good because you don't want to just slap something out there. It shows that you're really passionate about what you're doing instead of just saying, hey, here it is.
Yeah, and like the thing about that, I was having a conversation with someone the other day. Like you see, like there are filmmakers out there, and I'm not gonna name anybody because I would never diss anyone's work. But I will say this: if somebody is willing to give you money to a project, and they're willing to, like give I've had people give over 1,000, you should make sure. I don't care if it's $5. You put all your effort into your filmmaking, and there's no reason that it should, be quick, easy, and you shouldn't care about it. Because there's like some people who just turn films out left and right, and when you watch them, there's no value. There's no value in the acting. There's no value in production or set design. There's no like I literally watched one where no actor had any makeup on.
I feel like you're describing the DC universe a little bit there.
Right. I will never, I don't care if you're a man or a woman, you're never getting in front of a camera unless you have full foundation on from the get-go. I don't care if like you're waking up in a bed and like you are supposed to look tired and grungy. Like you are going to have a full layer of foundation on, because I have seen films. I recently watched one where the actor had no makeup, and you could see every pore on their face, and I was like, "Oh my gosh, this is atrocious! Like, who did this?" Like, and it's just, and it's almost embarrassing for the actor, and I feel bad for them because all you had to do was just put makeup on, smooth that out, make it look a little bit better, gives you a little bit better like production design and look and feel to your film. And I keep seeing, like, I watched a film the other day, and it started out really cinematic and really colorful. And it was like, wow, like, because I'd seen some of this filmmakers work, and I just want to check it out and see how it is, because I know that they were making like really low budget, and
Yeah.
they were making them quick and easy, and they didn't really care about the stuff. And I just wanted to see what it was like. So started out amazing. I was like, wow, they really amped up their game. By the 20-minute mark, they put over a filter on the film and made it look like an old, shriveled up film,
Huh.
when they had this like really cinematic opening that was shot really well. And they did that because that's how you do it quick and easy, to make it, kind of change it so you don't have to care too much about the lighting and care too much about how it looks. And I was like, that's a shame. Like, people gave you this project. You had a really great thing going. It's inside you. Don't let that flame go out when you start filming. Keep it going until you are done, and make a film that people want to watch over and over again. Because if you make something quick and easy and that you don't care about, chances are nobody else is going to care about it.
Yeah.
Like, you have to know your audience, know what the audience wants, and I did a study by myself. It was a few years ago, and it was about target audience. And there was a lot that went into that. And I noticed there was different things from like a standard category almost. And if you hit that category, you're going to make your audience happy. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
Like, it was really interesting. But that was one of the biggest things, was that filmmakers are turning, like, some filmmakers make things that they want to show people, and like from their perspective and what they like and what they care about.
Yeah.
But when you're making a film, that's great to add those in, but you have to put things in that the audience also wants to see. That way it brings your audience to you. So that's something that's really important as well in filmmaking.
So Gracie here asks a very in-depth question. She says, what do you think of the new comic book stylized animated movies coming out? What impact do you think it will have on the industry as a whole?
Absolutely.
Oh, hang on. We lost him again. Sorry about this, guys. Technical issues. Hey, you guys enjoying this? I'm really enjoying talking to Adam tonight. It's been really good. I'm glad I can bring these guests to you, and you guys can interact with filmmakers and TV personalities and stuff like that. It's very humbling that I can do this for you. So I hope that you're all enjoying it. We'll just wait for him to come back.
Hey,
sorry about that. Like I said, technical issues. All right, so
okay.
let's repose the question. What do you think of the new comic book stylized animated movies coming out, and what impact do you think it'll have on the industry as a whole?
I absolutely love it. I'm not gonna lie. There was one on Tubi, I believe it was, where like the family was like going in for like I think it was like a family meeting or something, and it was like done in like a comic book style. It was animated, and like they just start killing off like all these family, like in like the father's like business, and it was really good, and I just absolutely loved it, because the comic book style, like when you look at a comic book has a lot of things going on visually for it to keep the reader interested. So like when you bring that to film, it's so interesting, and it's like it brings like a whole new subgenre to horror, but also like the creativity level can be insane on some of that. So I'm really for it, and I really love what I'm seeing so far.
Well, I'm very humbled by my community at the moment. Apparently, they're doing a little fundraiser here for to go towards the Indiegogo campaign to have us mentioned in your Necromonicon. Sorry,
Well, thank
the
you all
book.
so much. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it, guys, and Adam does too. It's really good that, and I want to can't
Very much
reiterate.
appreciated. The cast and crew appreciates it. And what I want to say is, with the Scream Dream, if I may say this, Scream Dream was a film, I grew up watching, and I had the chance to remake a classic that I love. And the first film had like Melissa Moore in it, so the fact that I'm even linked to Melissa Moore, she's an amazing Scream Queen from the '90s. Um, I'm so excited to like bring that character back to life that she was able to bring to life. And what I can say is we are doing a lot of really special things with this film visually, and what we're doing is all practical effects. So the effects on the film, since we're doing practical effects, it's getting outrageously cool. Like I'm talking like 80s style special effects. Like we have a bed that we're gonna have to have like lifted on lifters, and we have like a chainsaw underneath it. We've got lights, fog effects, have to cast a body. Um, there's a lot of we're doing a lot of cool stuff. So it's not just like, like we're gonna be in the room filming and things happen.
Yeah.
We actually have to like build sets for this in order to pull off what we're going to pull off. So every little bit helps that they give, and we promise to bring you something amazing.
Well, I can't wait for its release.
Thank you. And if you haven't seen the original is a shot on video, so it is excuse me, it is a little bit low budget. But if you watch it and you think, oh, like I see potential in what they could do, you know what I'm saying?
Yep.
That's where we're coming from. So, like the original is on YouTube, Scream Dream, but take all the E's in the title and put a 3, and you'll find the original Scream Dream on YouTube. It's also available from like I think Culture Shock Releasing. They have a VHS out of the original. And it was like a reprint because it's so sought after. Like I've seen like the original VHS I've seen go for like $800 off eBay. It's ridiculous.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, so and like I said, it is low budget, so it's not gonna be everyone's cup of tea because it is shot on video. But when you think, oh, we're taking a shot on video and we're taking the storyline, we're adding things to it, we're adding like cinematic feels and looks and special effects to this, it's going to be something truly special.
Well, I managed to dig it up on YouTube, so I'm just popping it in the channel there for him to go check out. So, have you ever considered or gone into voice acting? We have quite a few of our community that's always asking for advice on voice acting, because obviously being in gaming, that's a larger perspective of what they would do in the industry when it came to, our side of things.
I would love to do voice acting. I actually try to get into it, but voice acting is a make or break situation, especially like over here in the States. Like it's one of those things like if you're in, you're in. If you're not, it is a job to get into voice acting. But they do have Voice 123, I believe is what it was called like a few years ago, where like you could make a profile and put up like different types of like voice acting that you could do, and you could submit it for like different anime series that comes out and things like that. And I learned that through Tara Sands, who is an anime voice actress. And she actually does Bulbasaur and Pokemon.
Oh,
and there was
wow.
she's been in Sailor Moon. And then also, there was a personal favorite from like when I was a child. There was an anime called Shamanic Princess, and she was the lead character in that series. And basically, she told me a little bit about it, and I was like, "Oh, that's really cool." And she told me, she's like, "It's really hard, to break into it." But I keep seeing like there's different types of things like for the horror genre, where you can do some like voice acting and kind of get that experience in, and then like you could take that and turn it in for like a reel, like
Yep.
it kind of shows your voice. So you always want to have a reel of something that you're in, but it's like a different ball game, and I honestly think, like, in my personal opinion, I think it would be really hard for me to get into it because I am an actor and I'm not like a voice actor. And so, since I'm not in the in crowd with it, it would be almost a nightmare, I feel like, trying to get into it. But don't let that discourage you because everything that you do, like all the hard work that you put into it, it's actually quite fun. So I'm saying it's hard because it is, and I don't want people to get discouraged from it, and I want them to have that like expectation to know that it's going to be hard, but
Yep.
it's going to be fun along the way trying to get into it.
So, who is the most famous person you've ever worked with, and did they live up to your expectations?
Most famous. I would have to say. I'm gonna. There's two people that I'm gonna say. I worked with Ellen Udy from My Bloody Valentine. She was also in like the Dr. Quinn Medicine Woman series, and she was just a blast to work with. I absolutely loved Miss Udy, and she's such a sweet person. And people probably, if you have seen like My Bloody Valentine, the original,
Not the remake?
Not the remake. I do love the remake because it was actually done really well, but the original, where like the guy and the girl is about to get it on, like in the mine, and like he like picks the girl up by the head, and he's like, like I don't know, it's an iconic scene from My Bloody Valentine, but that is Ellen Udy. I absolutely love her, and then also Kathy Podwell, just a ray of sunshine. Both of those women are so talented and they know their craft so well. And those are my two big ones that I love. Now, I've been in films with other people, but I hadn't actually like worked directly with them, but they're like in the film because so like you get like two different types of filmmakers. You get someone who films consecutively, and you get someone who breaks up the film and films different parts. Now, I couldn't do that. It takes way more money to do that. So like all the power to you if you can like have different shoots. I have to film consecutively without stopping. So there I think what was the other one? I know I want to say I think Tamara Glenn was in one called Savage Vengeance. I did not work with her, but she was in that film. But yeah, I would say Ellen and Kathy were
and they lived up to your expectations? They were...
definitely. And for Scream Dream, I don't know if anybody's a Jim Wynorski fan, but we have Debbie Dutch, also known as Deborah Dare, in some films. She was in like the 90s version of like The Haunting of Morella. She was in Bikini Drive-In, Hard to Die, which is basically Sorority House Massacre Part 3. Love that movie, but Part 2 I absolutely love. I just have to say that. It's that was when you asked what my favorite horror film was, I was debating on saying Sorority House Massacre 2 or The Evil Dead. I love Sorority House Massacre 2. But she's in Part 3, which is called Hard to Die, which is a female version of Die Hard. And it's basically women in lingerie with machine guns and everybody's getting possessed. So it was amazing. as part of the Slumber Party Massacre series, which the Slumber Party Massacre series is, a lot of people don't know this, is the Massacre Collection. So there's like 9 or 10 films in that collection. So a lot of people don't know that, but that's what it is. You can even check it out on Wikipedia. But anyway, she was in Hard to Die, and she's going to be one of the leads in Scream Dream. So really excited to have her. Really looking forward to it. I've seen so many of her movies growing up, and it's going to be really surreal to be able to actually be on set with her and work with her.
Nice. Well, Dingo apparently has taken off his in-game armor and he's standing in front of me in-game in his underwear saying, "Pick me, director, pick me." So, that's funny. Sorry, my community, they're a bit different sometimes. You have to forgive them there, Adam. So outside of your current projects, what does the future hold for you?
Well, I had I got into like writing pretty hardcore last year, and I knocked out several scripts that I really wanted to do, and they were scripts that I wrote them to be like small cast, so like the more money we brought in, it had like a bigger production for it instead of having, to pay so many different actors.
Yep.
But I wrote a horror film based on Little Bo Peep, and I don't know, like when you actually like go back and you look at that nursery rhyme, y'all, it's not a sweet nursery rhyme. It is, it's actually quite dark, y'all. And yeah, so I wrote an art housey type script for Little Bo Peep that I would love to do. I also wrote a script called Wolf Lust, which is a werewolf script that I absolutely love, and I was really heavily inspired by Werewolf Woman from the 70s. Love that movie. It's one of my favorite werewolf films. If you've not seen it, oh my god, go watch it and you'll be blown away, especially by the performance of the lead. So I wrote that one. I wrote Therapy Session, which is pretty dark, and I wrote a script called Field of Bunnies, which was a very extreme type film. I had to actually stop writing on it because it was messing with me emotionally and mentally so bad that I just had to stop writing it. I could not write anymore. It took me to a really dark place, but when you're doing extreme cinema, that is, because I have been a part of extreme films, it's different. It's not like normal horror films, and they usually are sold through like a boutique label or like a special label. They cannot be put out in stores. I know like Unearthed Films is putting them out, and there's also a really good one called Putrid Productions that has some really amazing films on there. So if you are into some grotesque stuff, Putrid Productions or Unearthed Films. So, so yeah, like there's a lot that's coming in store, and I have a lot of films that's about to be released. So excited about that. I will say that I am really excited for Fucked to come out to everyone. Highly excited about that film. I didn't know, like I just want to like say this. I did not know that it was going to be as extreme that it was, and I don't even know if the director knows how extreme that it was. But it's pretty extreme, and it's very nasty, very very grotesque. It knows exactly what it's going for. I recently just went back and watched my segment because like I had like a link to just mine whenever I first saw how it played out, and I was disturbed. I was wanted to go take a shower by the end of it. It's very dark, and I love it. It was directed by Dixie Gares. Our segment is called A Human Toilet.
That's that itself
Yeah,
sounds really interesting.
it's exactly the way it sounds, and it literally is not like, to me it was like very grotesque, and it's exactly what it's meant to be. And it's there was a lot of talent in that project, and I think what I'm really excited for is to see Dixie actually do a full-length feature film, because she is talented, and she has it in her to bring some like bomb ass horror films to the genre. And I think that she's waiting for her perfect moment to do that.
Yeah.
But I worked on like a film called Secrets of the Witch with her, which was very atmospheric. It was extreme. It was gory. It had a lot of penis in that, by the way. Um, but it was a really awesome experience, and I got to work with a lot of people that I love. And we were like out in the woods. It was really cold. It was at night. There was like a bonfire. I felt bad for the women who were playing the witches. They had like these beautiful like um, uh, black, almost like a see-through gown on, and they were like running to the woods. All this fog effects going on, candles and skulls and rituals, and people tied up. So like it was just a really great experience, and I'm so excited about that, for her to release that. I'm not going to give anything away on it. I promise I won't. But those two films, I know Jesse Seitz, that is our special effects artist. She also, just in case anyone wants to know who she is, her and Marcus, which is um, her other half, did the film Jacob's Wife on Shudder.
Huh.
So if you want to see her work, you can look at Jacob's Wife on Shudder. It's an amazing film with Barbara Crampton, and they did the special effects for that film. So they're going to be doing our effects. But Jessie, she was kind of like the main person on the Fucked project. It's like that was like her baby. So she had like all these women of horror come in and direct different segments, because it was something about like, I don't know like the full backstory to it, but something about like someone said that like women don't like extreme horror or something like that, and they're like, no, we do like it. So she got all these women to direct extreme horror uh, anthology, and I think that everybody wrote their own story for it, and they put it together in like a in the anthology, and it's called Fucked. So be on the lookout for that. Y'all seriously do not want to miss that. It is dark, it is gory, and it's going to it's a splatter fest. So y'all are gonna love it if you love special effects as well.
Nice. So again, from Lydia from the UK, has a very in-depth question here, and she says, or asks, how do you handle creative differences with collaborators?
Well, that's an interesting question. What I will say is the director is, the director is always going to get what they want,
Yep.
point blank. I've been on sets before where there was some differences, and sometimes it's good to put input, and then other times it's like you just keep your mouth shut and just go on. Like that. It is like that. But you at the end of the day, I think what's important is that the director gets what he wants. But sometimes you'll run into a director who wants people's opinion. Like with me, like I love it when somebody comes to me and they're like, "Hey, I have an idea for this scene. Can we do it this way?" And I'll be like, "Sure, yeah, let's do it this way." Because that way we have it filmed, and then if we really like it, when we go back in editing and it's better than what we were going to do originally, we can add it in. So like I think it's kind of a good thing to take other people's um suggestions and input. And that's what I'm doing with Scream Dream. Like right now, the way the script worked, I wrote the script and then I gave it to Ben Johnson, who works for like Trauma, and he did like the new film Curse the Weird Ear from Trauma, which is about to come out, and amazing, y'all. Like I was on that. It was like 40 people on set, bizarrely crazy, everything going on. But anyway, so I gave it to him, and then he took the script and reverbalized everything. So like he wanted to keep exactly the way that I had it, but just like change some verbiage and then add a little bit here, add a little bit there. He'd send it back to me. I'd be like, oh, that's awesome. And I'd be like, okay, now I'm going to add this and let's add this. And I'd write a scene up and send it back to him. So it's collaborating. You know what I mean? So
Yeah.
I think that's important because oftentimes people want to just get the credit. So like, people want to take all the credit they can get. And I think it's important, like if someone touches a camera on set or if they touch a light or if they're fixing someone's makeup, I think it's important that they get credited for that because it took that, and a lot of people don't do that. So it's like a 50-50. You'll run into some people who don't want to listen to input. So there is that creative difference. In that situation, my opinion is this. As long as you're safe and nobody's in danger and, there's nothing immoral going on, listen to your director. If they don't want input, don't give it. If you're working with someone, and I just say ask prior to going into the film project, like, are you like willing to like maybe hear some suggestions, things like that? Because I'm always willing to put some input. Ask them prior to going into the project rather than getting on set and then doing it on set, because that director is going to be under a lot of pressure. They're managing an entire cast and crew. There's so much going on that they're not just directing. They have a lot. Like it's like a job. Like you have everything. You have to get all the sets and the props and the makeup and the special effects, and you're overseeing everything. So I think that it's just best, to ask, hey, like, but if there is something like, if you're not comfortable with something, that's a different story, So, oftentimes, like I hear it over and over again, someone didn't know that there was nudity in the role, or they didn't know that there was sex, or they're trying to add it in while they're on set. That is not okay. You need to get more pay if you're going to do it, but also, you need to make sure that you're safe. And closed sets, always a closed set is important. I just recently spoke with someone, I ain't going to say who, but there was a case where they were going to do nudity and they didn't realize it was not on a closed set. So they were very upset. And you want to make sure it's closed. So
just for clarification, you've used this term a lot, but I never asked the explanation behind it. What is a closed set? What's the difference between a closed and open set?
Okay, so on an open set, you've got your special effects artist sitting in the corner. You've got the cast and crew sitting around watching. You've got lighting. You've got your extra help there. Like you may have like a few people that's setting up lights and things like that. There's a lot of people. Like, for example, like when I said I was on Curse the Weird Ear had like 40 people on set. So there's 40 people right there. So when you do a nude scene or you do a sex scene and you have to be, it may not even show nudity in the scene, but you might have to be nude in the bed or something, like depending on what it shows. So on a closed set, you're going to have the director. You're going to have, if there's a person holding a boom mic, you're going to have your boom mic. And that's it, really. I mean, you might have like one extra person in there to help with something. Like if you need if things are moving around and you have, if you're doing like a special effect, you just want only the people that's involved with making the scene only there and no one else. You never want to be full frontal in front of 40 people.
Yeah.
It's unprofessional. It's not. It feels weird. Like, I've done a lot. I've done nudity in roles, and it's a different experience. It truly is. Like when you drop the robe, it feels exhilarating. But what I had done with one of my co-stars was, I asked her. I was like, we were staying in like a place, and she was like in another room, but she came to my room for the night, and we were like practicing everything. We were going over everything.
Yeah.
And I made up a rule because like I asked her, I was like, can we keep eye contact during the whole scene? And she's like, yeah, that's no problem. And she's like, it'll make you feel more comfortable. And I was like, yeah, because it was it was a rape scene. I was getting raped with a knife, so like it was really awkward already. And what happened is when we did the scene, everyone kept eye contact, so it wasn't like somebody was just sitting there staring at your genitals,
Yeah.
So it was professional, and it made me feel safe, and it made me feel comfortable, and I had no problem.
Yeah.
So stuff like that, and also it needs to be told to you that you're going to do that before you ever get to set, before you ever take that role. They should tell you what's required.
Yep. Well, of course, because you don't want to be caught off guard. And is that enough details for you there, Doom? Doom's in the chat asking for more. Please go into details. So, has there ever been a time when you've been on set and it's made you feel uncomfortable?
Yes. The Reunion from Hell film, that one, and the first time that I ever did nudity in a film was on a film called Truly Madly. Now, did they do anything wrong? No. It was just my first time, so I was naturally a little nervous about it. And I was actually deathly ill on that film, and I was having liver failure, so my body was swelling up, and I was retaining fluid, and I almost died, but I didn't. I'm okay, but I was just deathly ill, and they were like, oh, like for the very first, I think it was like the very first day that we ever filmed, like the very first thing we filmed was a sex scene, and I was like, oh, okay, like, so I was really nervous.
So they didn't break you in; they just threw you straight in there.
Yeah, that was just the best way to do it. So, it was a little odd, but he was professional. The director was, and the thing of it was, I don't know if anybody's ever seen Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker, or Not Warning. That film that we did called Truly Madly, which again is on Tubi, and it just got released on December 15th on physical media. You can find that like on Amazon. It has like a girl with a chainsaw on the front of it, but what it was is it was Truly Madly was heavily, heavily, heavily inspired by Butcher Baker, Nightmare Maker, but it's its own film. So it's about like a religious mother finds out that her son is gay. So she doesn't accept this. She is sexually attracted to her son, and she has a strong sexual attraction towards her son. And so she starts killing the people that's closest to him. And it's like religion and horror mixed. It came out quite well. It's very grindhouse. It has like the restricted cougar that opens up in the film, and instead of like actually putting a filter, I do have to say this because I have to give the kudos to this. In the film Truly Madly, it does have the filter effect to make it look like grindhouse, but instead of just putting up a filter over the movie, the director and the editor spent hundreds of hours actually editing in each like effect, like grain
Oh
effect to make it look
wow.
old. And they went all out. And it is very much a grindhouse film. And it's, to me, the way that it's shot is on par with like, like I'm sure you all have seen like the double feature, like Planet Terror and Death Proof.
Yes.
People loved Grindhouse. They loved how it was, but they used that filter effect, and it's, I'm not saying anything bad at all. It's just it's so easy to use that filter effect. But when you actually have someone that goes in and edits every single little detail throughout the entire film, that and it has like the crackling of the film, that was a lot of talent put into that, and a lot of time and effort. So check out Truly Madly on Tubi if you would like. Forewarning, yes, there is nudity, and I'm sorry, I was deathly ill, so I was extremely swollen. I did that. I literally lost 60 pounds in 2 weeks after they figured out what was going on. So I lost 60 pounds of fluid off my body in 2 weeks after
Oh,
that film. So, but yeah, check it out. It's a fun film, and if as long as you are okay with like some male nudity and a little bit of sexuality, because it has to have that in there for the mother to go crazy. Yeah, I think you'll like it.
well, I think pretty much these days horror and nudity go hand in hand, don't they?
They do, but right now it's kind of like a big thing in the community. Like um, we have a lot of people who are trying to like push male nudity in films,
Yeah.
because it's not fair for females to have to do all the nudity,
Yeah.
and you have, when you put just female nudity in film, you are targeting a male audience for that. But
Yeah.
you're forgetting that there is a female audience and also an LGBT audience. Like that, I know tons of LGBT in the indie horror community. Like there is tons, and there's tons of talented writers and actors and directors that are LGBT, and it's like, you know, what do they want? Like, what does
Yeah.
women want? And I was literally speaking to a woman at my job the other day, and she was like, "I'm so tired of just seeing like, bush and boobs on screen all the time." And I was like, she's like, "I'm a woman. I want to see a man. Like, I want to see a man." And she's like, "What?" And she's like, "Even if it's harmless, like, what is so wrong with the male?" That people get so disgusted. Like, why can't, if like a guy's in a shower room, and she brought this up, like if a guy's in a shower room and you're showering, you see all these nude men around you showering. Nobody is ever like, "Ooh, you're gross looking." You just shower and you go on. It's secondhand, and it's the truth. But when it comes to film, people act almost disgusted whenever a man is shown, and I just really feel like filmmakers nowadays are really kind of trying to push it. Like when you look at, I think it was like Hereditary had it in there, and like Midsummer had it in there,
Yeah.
and I think the Suspiria had it in there as well, the new one. And it's like they're pushing it more by Hollywood standards now, but like also, um, when you look at a distributor, like from like an indie level, distributors do not want that. They
No.
will take your film and they'll try to edit it out. But like, I've heard like some people took out like 10 minutes of an indie film when they took it to distribution. So like, you want to go with someone who's going to allow you to have that freedom of creativity,
Yeah.
but also it's like there are standards still to this day where it's like shameful to show a man, and if you don't show a woman, shame on you. Because it's like when my first film Deadly Dealings come out, there's a bath scene with Jessa Flux, and we wanted to do it really tastefully where like she takes off her top and you just barely see just like a sliver of her boob, and that's it. And we didn't want to put a lot of nudity in there because we wanted a lot of people to. It was about a movie about loss and love and resurrection, and it wasn't a sexual film at all. So we wanted to leave the sex and the nudity out of it, but just give us a little bit, to the imagination. So distributors did not like that. They told me, they're like, we wanted sex, we wanted nudity, you did not deliver, we don't know how we're going to sell this. And I'm like, people love the film. I said, we had 600 views in 3 days in the film festival.
That's amazing.
That was more views than any other film in the festival, I believe. And like, people were loving the way that it looked, the aesthetics. And it's just like, if that's all the distributor sees is selling sex and nudity, they're missing out on other audiences. They're thinking, oh, we've got to sell for, the attraction of that. So it's like an ongoing problem, I feel like, that just never ends with that category. But it's a shame that it's 2023 and here we are, and it's a shame to show men, but it's a shame that you only want to show women and you demand it. And it's a shame that, like, that's all you see in a film when somebody's telling a story and showing all this creativity. And the only thing that you can say is that there's no sex or nudity in it. That's a little hurtful. But that came from several distributors, not just one. And I'm going to throw that out there. So.
Well, we're nearing our 2-hour mark. So before I let you go, we have a little tradition over here, and the game we play, we have different tames that I spawn in for my community. So, what's your favorite dinosaur, and what's your 2 favorite colors?
Favorite dinosaur. I love. I think it's called a Triceratops. Like, it's Triceratops.
Triceratops.
Yeah. It's what Sarah was in Land Before Time.
Triceratops. Yeah.
They're so cute. Yeah, and also favorite colors is I love blue and I love pink. And the reason I like those colors is because it makes me crave cotton candy.
That's exactly my color's pink, and Noglin Queens is cyan. So you've got cotton candy sitting here on the screen as we're streaming.
Yeah, and see, like, I will literally, like, if I need to, like, de-stress or something, like, I can go to my room and I'll turn on, like, pink and blue lights, and I just, we have, like, pink and blue lights throughout our entire home. We keep it those colors, and it's just really aesthetic, but also it's just really calming. So those 2 colors I really do like.
Well, I want to say thank you very much, Adam, for coming and joining us. I really appreciate it. It's been a real pleasure to have you, and I've loved interacting with you.
Oh, well, thank you. Thank you so much for having me. This has been so fun, and probably like one of the best interviews I've ever had. I really, really enjoyed this. Thank you.
Well, I appreciate it a lot. I can't wait to, hopefully after you've done your Indiegogo campaign and everything, we'll just try and snag you back for a follow-up.
Okay, awesome. That sounds like a plan.
All right, I appreciate you, bud, and we'll let you go from here, and I'll definitely keep in touch.
Okay, awesome. Thank you so much, and thank you again for having me.
No problem, bud. Take care of yourself. Good luck.
You too. Thank you. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. So, guys, what did you think? Can you picture cotton candy baby tech tracks? Yeah, so you guys that are here on Ascension, don't forget you can grab yourself a lovely cotton candy tech track that came to the interview. You thought it was great? Yeah, plenty more coming. I've got a Raz Clark on Sunday. I've got Cheese on the 18th. I'm going to follow up with Adam. I got a couple more in the works over here on Crystal Isles, Oaken. Obviously, I'm going to go take a break. We've been streaming for 2 hours. So what I'm going to do is apparently this Dragon Lady's trying to get to affiliate here. So I'm going to raid you guys out to there. Don't forget to give her a follow. I will be back later in an hour or so after I've taken a break, and we'll go do some events or something like that. I appreciate you all. Thank you very much again to Adam for coming on tonight. It was great. We will see you a little bit later on, guys. Appreciate yous.